Okay, here we go. We are live. Welcome or welcome back to Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people, where we speak about critical issues in the blindness community from all across the universe and galaxy. Of course, don't forget, you're watching Aaron's Opinion TV, live streaming right here on YouTube. Hey, don't forget, leave me a comment below. I'd be more than happy to get back to you. Just an hour ago, a couple hours ago, we already saw several of you at home around the universe expressing interest. We know who you are. Thank you. Please watch, like, comment, share, subscribe it. Okay. So let's basically dig into a very fascinating guest and a very beautiful guest and a very, very wonderful person to have in the Aaron's Opinion family. Andrea Jenkins. How's it going over there? How are you this evening?
Hey, hey, doing
How are you
great,
this
doing
evening?
great.
Very good, very good. So like I was
Doing
saying,
great.
we're just gonna have a nice little talk tonight. And we're gonna first of all start out talking about your spiritual journey and the life story. And we're gonna make sure that when you talk about it, you lead towards talking about how all of these things compelled you and led you to the journey of, being a country music singer. So why don't you get in by telling us to start off with, well, who is Andrea Jenkins? Why don't you tell the life story? And basically, I'm going to say you have an hour. You have an hour. So why don't you just go from there? And
Oh boy,
I'll mute, and I'll jump in when I want to. But definitely, I'll mute, step back, and let you talk for a
goodness.
bit. Go ahead.
Wow. Okay. Well, geez, an hour, that's a long time. Not really. Um, well, hey, so I'm Andrea Jenkins. I actually um I guess I'll start by just kind of give an overview of my life and my coming to Christ, and then just a little bit more, and then whatever you want to, if you have questions you want to ask Aaron, feel free to do that. Um, and because I might need a little guidance as far as you know where you want to take the conversation more. Um, so I was born. I was born in Tallahassee. I was a preemie. I was born at 26 weeks, weighed a pound 6 ounces, and I was in the NICU for like 6 months. I went home after 3 months, went to respiratory arrest. I had to go back to the hospital for another 3 months. So I'm really grateful that I'm alive. um, and I had a good childhood. My parents, my parents were here and there. My mom was a really good mom. She was great. Rest in peace, mom and dad. Um, and I did a lot of singing in my childhood. I grew up in church. I grew up, shout out to all the folks at Midway Baptist. And I Midway Baptist. I went to church there growing up. That was my home church, and I still haven't moved my letter, by the way. Um, all the Baptists will know what that means. But anyhow, I grew up singing in church. My grandparents, my grandma and grandpa took me to church a lot, and I would sing growing up. And I got into languages when I was young. I would listen to folks speaking Spanish, and I was like fascinated by it. So I would listen to cassette tapes. People don't know what those are. They're like little things. They're yeah. Ask your parents. Um, but they're awesome. And so I would listen to those in Spanish, and I would practice. And then I went to high school and I took classes in Spanish, and like several different classes, and went to college and studied Spanish as well. So that was really fascinating. Um, and really just, I've always loved singing and music. My grandparents, my my grandma was, um, we love to listen to like the Gaithers and all the old Southern gospel music, and we listened to a lot of the old classic country music. So I kind of cut my teeth on George Jones and Tammy Wynette, Loretta Lynn, all those guys. So that was kind of part of my inspiration for, singing and music. Um, but also, like I said, the hymns and being in church and just hearing it and being around it. And really, I always had a longing for God. I feel like it was always there for me. Um, Even though I've wandered off in different places, I've always come back to the reality of God, because to me, God and Christ and his salvation is ultimately what it's all about in life. So for me, that's kind of always been I've always had a desire to love God or love something greater than myself, and that's God. And um, so that was really most of my, inspiration for singing. Um, and so I actually, oh, my puppy needs to come inside. Give me 1 second. So I actually had, definitely it's been a great, there's been a lot of struggles in my life. But there's also been a lot of, joys and happy times as well. And so grateful to God for that, for all of it, honestly. Um, but I would say um, I came to Christ when I was 16. And like I said, I've been in the church for a while and grew up in church and heard the word of God, the Bible, and all the prophets and um, and then for us as Christians, Jesus, who came to, you know, to rescue us from ourselves, quite frankly. Um, and so I got I was baptized when I was 11. I was saved when I was 16. That was kind of my first like real experience with God. I was in my room, and it was one night I was in my room. I don't really remember like what day or anything like that, but I just remember like asking God, hey, like I really want to follow you. I want to serve you, and whatever that looks like. I love you, and I'm going to be faithful to you. And that was kind of my prayer, and like, save me from myself and my sins, from my own tendency to be, in error and things like that. So I prayed, and, I believe that, I was saved in that time. And so then, um I went on to high school, or I was in high school. I graduated high school honors. And I went to the Center for the Blind in Louisiana, Louisiana Center for the Blind, and I spent, 7 months there with some awesome folks, and learned a lot and really gained a great deal of uh, independence, really, because I learned, how to travel, how to cook, how to, use assistive technology. I didn't Honestly, I didn't know how to use Facebook or email. I tell people, I'm like, I was kind of a late bloomer when it came to Facebook and email. I didn't know how to use it until I was like 20. So it was kind of weird, but I didn't have those skills, and now I have those techniques, and it's just so great. So I learned a great deal, gleaned a lot, and really, it was kind of a stepping stone. You can't have one without the other. And, as someone who's a strong person of faith, I really believe that there's divine orchestration that goes on in our lives, and that, you know, when we, allow ourselves to be carried in that, in that, um, by God's hand, when we allow ourselves to be carried, like we go through things, but we can handle them. Like they're more doable because we have the Lord, and He's our strength and our shelter. So that's kind of where this the that's what I lean on. So I went to the Center for the Blind. I graduated there. Went to college shortly after that. And I was involved in a couple of, let's see, I still sang at this point. I was singing up until um, probably, I mean, up until high school. Like I graduated high school, and then in college, I did do some singing on a worship team at a church I was involved in. Shout out Valdosta. Yes, and it was a great experience. I mean, I really love all the people that um, I was singing with, and it was worship. It was awesome. Um, and so after college, I mean, I did some singing then. But I wasn't really writing. I used to write songs and poems when I was in high school. I'm kind of going random here, but um, maybe it's the coffee. But
Not at all. Not at
I,
all. Not at all. No, no, you're doing fine. Here,
okay,
okay. So let me
so
let me help a little. Okay. So at some point, you just use the word orchestration.
yes,
But
yes,
by the way, you've walked into this arena and this stage absolutely brilliantly. Andrea, you say the word, we'll circle back to the spirituality a little later.
okay, sure,
Sure, but you know what you said a word that reminded me of something. You said orchestration, which reminds me of
yes,
orchestra, which reminds me of music, which reminds me of
yes,
reminding myself to say Andrea when at some point when you were in one of these churches, and I don't know which one it
yes.
was, you met a
Mhm.
man, or you've known of a man by the name of Mr. Gary. We've been talking a lot about Mr. Gary. Why don't,
Oh yes,
let's
yes,
walk
I
it
did.
let's walk the
I
dog in that direction. Go ahead.
Okay, sure. Okay. So that was about, let's see, I would say about 10 years ago,
Okay,
maybe.
right.
I was I was working with Mr. Chip, who is the worship leader at the church that I was attending in Valdosta throughout my college years. And Mr. Chip, he introduced me to Mr. Gary via one of his friends who was needing a background vocalist for one of his songs. So he said, "Hey, why don't you come to this studio in Moultrie? We've got some folks that are trying to lay a track down and they need someone to do some trial, harmony background vocals. And, we'll pay you, come over here and do this, and I'm just like, I don't care, I'll do it for free. I didn't care. So I went and it was fun. And I met him and Chip was like, oh, she's got music, she's written songs and this and that. And so I think he took interest then, because he heard my voice. So he was like, oh, I knew you had a voice, but I don't think he really knew at the time that I wrote songs. I mean, I think maybe he heard the comment, but I don't know exactly to what extent he knew that I, wrote music. Um, so he's been one of my Facebooky friends for a while, for years, and we've kept up with each other on Facebook. Um, and I met him. I talked to him last year, and I said it was like September or so. I said, "Hey, so I want to do a couple of songs. I want to release a couple of my originals." And he said, okay, well, how about I come down to where you are and I help you record the songs and then we get them packaged and produced. I'm like, okay, that would be great. That would be great. So we did that. He came down an afternoon in October and early October of last year. And I sang the two songs that I had written and we laid down a couple of instrumental tracks, but then mostly vocals because I had to do background vocals and I didn't want to do any like synthesizing. So it was all my own harmonies and I had to get all of them, good to go. So, no flat notes. I mean, I had to try to make sure I wasn't too flat, but anyway, um, so um, we did the songs, we recorded them here in my dining room. And I thought that was so cool because I had never done that before. It was just so cool. And so we did that. And then he sent them back to me, or he brought them to me, when they were fully produced. He had some guys in Nashville assist with the music production. So they would play the songs. They had the band, and musicians, those professional musicians that covered the music. So it's all my lyrics and my music. But it's, they're packaged. So, and they're actually out on pretty much every medium online. So you can view them. And the name is called Vision of the Simple is the name of the album. But yes, I enjoyed very much with, producing on Mr. Gary. It was really fun working with him. And I really hope to work with him more in the future because we have such a great rapport, and, we've known each other for years. So that really does help. Matters. But he told me, a funny thing. He told me, when he was here, I had to correct a lyric, or not really correct it, but I wanted to kind of amend it a bit to make it fit better with the song and the movement of the music. So when I was doing that, he said, just, can you correct this little part right here? So I said, sure. He's just like, can you add another line? And he's like, I know I'm putting you in the hot seat, but can you try to add another line that's, not saying the same thing, but maybe, just change it up a bit, something different. So I sure. So I did that. And then afterwards he said, I've been working I've worked in Nashville for over 30 years as a professional musician, and, worked with all kinds of folks. And he said, I'm impressed. And he said, I didn't know, I knew you could sing. I knew you had pipes, but he said, I didn't know you could write. And, he said, the fact that you were able to like come up with that lyric on the spot like that, and in so little time, like it was like really impressive to him. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, so that was really fun. That was really fun experience. It was great working with him. So.
Sure. Awesome. And Andrea, then everyone at home, and probably Andrea, people all over the world actually do know Nashville is basically the music capital of the United States, and arguably one of the most important cities for art and music in the entire world. Not to put down, well, obviously not putting down Hollywood, California, New Orleans, New York, but Nashville's right up there. Nashville has a special place.
It's like the center. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
so when
it did come out to be more of a country music. The songs were more country in nature. They sound more, country in nature. But it's kind of, my style is kind of all across the board. So
right.
It's like folk or Americana or country, I guess.
I mean, to my ear, it's
I don't know. It sounds country though, doesn't it?
To me,
I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't even say. Okay, I guess it is. I guess some of it is country.
To my ear, I would say it's country. I would also say it's soul.
Country.
Soul,
bluesy,
country.
bluesy.
No, not bluesy. No, not bluesy.
No,
not bluesy.
It's not. Definitely not bluesy.
It's not. It's country soul. So you would be a soul
country
singer.
Soul.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
All right. Okay.
And so when I heard that this guy from Nashville was so impressed by you, I was like, well, we gotta figure this out, because I've also noticed that. That I have the impression that there's more to come. And I guys, I was pretty surprised, and I mean this in a good way. I mean, if Mr. Gary said that he didn't know that you could write, I didn't know you could write either, because the song was so well written.
Yeah, you were like,
and I mean it, and I really
like,
mean
what?
this. I really mean this in the greatest spiritual sense of compliment. Like, holy moly. You didn't tell me you could write. Well, why didn't you tell me? If I had known that, I mean, it just goes to
Oh
show,
Lord.
and it just
Oh.
goes to show that God has a very mysterious and beautiful way of helping us to reach our gifts, and I think that this has been the time and place and moment where you need to share your gift with the world with your
Yes.
music, and I genuinely believe it. So, but you've only released now, as of this moment, you've only released two songs in the Vision of the Simple, or how many
Correct.
tracks? Okay.
Just two. Yeah,
Okay.
just two.
So now, what about the other ones? So I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to say, what about the other ones, and then we're going to do some singing. But so, what about the other songs?
Okay. What about the other songs?
What about them?
What do you mean? What about them?
Well,
Like,
okay.
what
So
are they
you have
about? Like,
you
what do
you
they
have
mean? Like, what
well,
are
you have
what?
other well, so you have
So
other
I have,
songs.
yes, I have several worship songs, like contemporary Christian type songs that I've written. I also have several love songs that I've written, and those are, they're pretty interesting. But yeah, I have love songs. I have, you know, Christian songs. I have a couple of ballads that are kind of just, I don't know what you call them. They're like, I mean, they're positive messages, but they're not like specifically Christian or country or anything like that.
Right.
So there's several. Like I have about, I want to say I have like 12 or 15 more at least that I could probably come out of the closet maybe. Could, put them out there. Yeah. So there's several. I have several different ones.
All right. All right.
Yes.
And so when are you going to get those published and produced?
I I haven't been able to do it because honestly the financial piece of it is challenging at the moment. If the financial piece were not an issue, then I could probably, start rolling them out pretty swiftly. But the thing is, they're not, it's more of a I want to say a financial issue maybe. And also, the fact that there's also divine orchestration. Like I think when it's meant to happen, it will happen. I mean, not being fatalist, but just fatalistic. But it's one of those things where there are certain things I don't have control over.
Right.
But I do hope that in the very near future, I mean, I do hope that they can be produced, you know, in a in a good time frame, and I hope that I can start rolling them out at some point in the future.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's um,
Right.
yeah. I definitely. I mean, I'm hoping to for sure, and I really, um, I want people to hear the messages because they're, it's personal. A lot of the songs are personal. Um, some of them are just like, thoughts I have in my head or, but a lot of my music comes from like, the struggles I've gone through, the pain I've experienced or the
Sure.
loss I've experienced. Like I wrote a song for my mom, um, and I played it at her funeral and sang it at her funeral. And it was, I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And, sometimes you get this strength in moments of trouble where you just do what you have to do, and that's what I did. But I wrote that song for my mom, and it was after after I found out that she passed away. It was like the week after. And so I mean there's a lot of songs that I've written that come from those kinds of experiences. And but then there's songs of hope and you know overcoming things. And so it's very personal, but I want people to hear those messages because it might help other people who are going through loss or going through pain or 'cause it's not an easy life. But I think that sharing our stories and sharing our songs and you know hearing each other and listening, not just hearing but listening to each other, is what's really going to make a difference in our lives and help us. So I think sharing is caring. to be key, but yeah, sharing is caring, and I feel like, um, it's worth a shot so that people can maybe have some hope or have some inspiration carry with them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I want to hear home. I want you to sing home just a cappella, and then the other song that I forget if I've listened to it or not. So the other song I don't think I've heard, but I want to hear both. I would like to hear both of those if you wouldn't mind.
Well, the second song is going to be interesting if I do it a cappella because it won't sound as good because it's not. It's you know, I mean, I could break out my guitar, but I don't know how that would work on our Zoom call, but
It would
our Zoom,
definitely. I would.
our live
I would.
jam.
I would love it if you wanted to go get your guitar. I
Okay,
would.
let's do that because I think that
That
would
would be
be
amazing. Oh, you guys are gonna.
a much
That would
better
be.
idea.
This would
Yeah.
be absolute
Okay,
perfection.
cool, cool,
Absolute
clear.
perfection.
All right. So I'm gonna go and grab this guitar real quick, somewhere
Sure.
about a frame.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Here. We'll even for you guys at home. We'll even pause the audio so you don't have to be all so distracted. So there's no distraction. Sure.
All right. I'm using my guitar case
Right.
as a as a stand, as a like a table.
Okay. Let's
Yeah.
not do that.
Let's see.
Let's
No,
not.
that's not gonna happen. No, that's not gonna happen. I'm kidding.
Let's not use the guitar
I'm
case as
kidding.
something.
No, we don't do
Okay.
that. No, because then you'll get it. Then you'll get messy, and it'll be spinning around it too.
Okay. All right.
So let's see. I'm gonna put this over here. Gonna go back into the. Let's see. Um, I'm gonna be out of frame because okay, because I have to sit over here. Okay, in order to make this fit. Okay, here we go. I gotta get people. Here we are. Okay. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm in the right key. All right. Okay, are we ready?
Well, I have to be able to see you though.
Okay.
Right. So you stepped out of frame. So when
I
it's ready,
know.
you
I
can
have
you can
to.
walk back. Ah, okay.
The problem is that I have to move this because I can't. I'm gonna have to sit over here. I think. Can you see me from there? Or
Well,
do
I
you
don't
need to
know.
move over?
I
Let me
don't
see.
know.
Let me turn this around.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 1 second.
Sure. Okay.
Yes. Hold on.
Okay. Okay. Good enough.
Yeah.
You know what? Good enough.
Good
Okay.
enough.
Good. Close enough. You could come a little to your
Left.
left a little.
Left.
A
Still
little
further.
more. A little more left.
Get it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's
Yes.
that's gonna yes, right. Okay. Okay. Now, okay, that's gonna be good. Now here you go. Okay, are you ready?
Almost. I gotta make sure that I have the right key. Hold on. I'm sorry.
Because I'm gonna have to turn on the
Okay,
audio
go ahead.
recorder again
Mm,
when we're ready for this. You're still streaming on YouTube, it's just not part of the audio
okay.
podcast.
I gotta make sure I'm the right key. Okay. 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 Yes, I'm ready now.
All right. So let's hear home.
Oh, 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 always seem to be so far away, over some distant mountain. Another time, no place. And I've been trying all my life to find my place. Oh, 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 oh. God, you, oh, you always seem to feel so far away, over some distant mountain, beyond this time, beyond this place. Until you came and took my hand and gently led me into grace. Oh, 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 oh. Now hold my own isn't so far away. Oh, it's just over this mountain, beyond this time, beyond this place. Oh, we'll fully understand. I will see you face to face. Oh, 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 oh. Now my home isn't so far away. It's just over this mountain, beyond this time, beyond place. Oh Lord, will for understand. I will know you face to face. Oh, Okay, so this is called Time of Need. This is the second song on the album.
So try
Do you
to,
want to hear this? Do you want to hear this one? You
of
want to hear
course I do.
this?
Try
I
to
know you don't.
try to come as close as you
Closer
can. Yeah, closer to your
to the
microphone. Yeah. So we got some.
oh, some of it, but not all of it, huh? Okay, let's see.
Well, I don't know. It's
Uh,
not your fault, and we'll put the link in the
it's
description so
probably
people can
the
listen to Spotify for themselves. But
yes. It's
yeah,
probably going to be okay. Just one second.
because I
Uh,
noticed the audio was also kind of odd on that one. Just
just
try to come closer to the microphone and see if we can have a better quality.
okay.
Yeah, I don't care if I can see you. Just get the
Doesn't matter.
sound closer to the microphone
Okay,
for this one,
got it.
and then if
Okay.
that corrects it, I might actually have to ask for an encore if this fixes it. But try time.
Okay.
Okay, so try time of need. It sounds a lot better. That microphone you have on
Mhm.
that device is very sensitive. So try time of need.
Yes.
I'll mute my
Okay.
microphone.
Okay. I found grace. I found grace. Help me in my time of need. I found mercy. Oh, lot of peace. Help me in my time of need. Oh, I've seen a lot of things and I've found a lot of things. Oh, but Lord, when I call your name, I realize you never disappeared. Oh, I've been through too many things, it's been too many years. Oh, but Lord, when I call your name, I know you are here. You can't find grace. You can't find strength to help you in your time of need. I know. You can find some mercy. Oh, some mercy and peace on help you in your time of need. Oh, oh, Lord, when I call your name, I realize you never disappeared. Oh, I've been through too many things, it's been too many years. Yeah, Lord, when I call your name, I know you are here. Tell me in my time of need, Lord. Oh, you are, Lord. You always help me in my time of need. Okay, was that maybe that was better? I don't know.
A little.
A little.
So click the. So we'll just say from here. All right, and as I talk, you can go ahead and get
Yes.
positioned with your camera again. But I would say, yeah, let's go to the Spotify link to hear those professionally mastered.
Yes.
Zoom and iPhones just don't do it justice. But
Yeah.
still the ability that you have clearly is just seeping through, just seeps right through the microphone.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
so have you thought about have you thought about other avenues? And the reason why I'm bringing it up, apart from the addition to the fact that I want to talk and bring it up,
Yeah.
but have you thought about other avenues or additional avenues that you could use to get yourself into the industry? Because I really sense that there is a star somewhere. I'm not entirely sure how the star works, but I
Yeah.
sense
Yeah.
that something is right on the edge of something else, you know.
Right.
So have you thought
Right.
about additional avenues that you could go through to maybe make this dream come true? What do you think? And please if you wouldn't mind, straighten your camera so I can see you.
I'm gonna
Uh,
straighten it.
oh, okay,
Yes.
okay. But
So yes.
have you thought of other avenues while we're talking? Have you thought of other avenues that you could go through to get yourself into the industry? What do you think?
I mean, I've thought of possibly doing possibly working in networking, networking around the community to see what options, I have for, producing music that way, or like, you know, uh, talking with maybe radio stations or, other um, organizations to kind of be able to promote the music. But I would have to, and I've also thought about doing like live shows as well. Um, I haven't actually explored all of that yet. That's definitely something I've considered.
Have you thought about something? Have you thought about auditioning for something?
I've not. I mean, I thought of it when I was a lot younger, but not necessarily in the past few years. No.
Do you
Um, I mean,
because
that's a lot of people, But I mean, it's it's possible. I mean,
I mean, do you know what I'm
for the
talking? I mean,
most part.
do you know what I'm
Hmm.
talking about?
Hmm.
Okay.
Definitely.
So, okay. So that
Yeah.
really good show Sunday nights,
Yeah. Yes.
because one thing that I
Um,
notice about that amazing show is I notice that that's a show that supports people who deserve support. And that's a
sure.
show that not only gives a hand up, but gives people knowledge and truly seems to truly help people.
Right. Yeah.
So I,
I mean, I
yeah,
could try. I could do it. I could do it. I mean, yeah, I could do it. I think
I
it's
think,
over for this year, but I
well,
could do
but still,
it.
more than likely, the audition process for next year
Mm,
has already, in more cases, is
commenced.
always going on.
Okay.
So you should not. No, you do no. Just because a TV show has a season that's on at a certain level at the moment, that doesn't mean that they aren't constantly
Right.
looking for new talent. They are.
Right. Okay.
It's a 365 process. It
Okay.
doesn't just stop for one thing. So you
Right.
know that's something that we could look into that and see what would be involved in sending in your story, your tape, something you could create some sort of um,
Yeah.
I think
Reach
that's what
out to
you need.
them.
I think that's one thing that could really help you is
Sure.
if you made a video just for yourself, of where you talked about your life a little bit and then you sang home, just a cappella without
Right.
the guitar, and said,
Right.
hey, I'm blind, I'm spiritual, I need a break. I need an opportunity. I want to know if this is something that could happen in real life. I mean, I don't know. They might, and your story is just as is your story is as just as beautiful as the music, and your spirit is just as important and beautiful as the story and the music. So it all connects and it all works together. I don't know. The vibe is good. You have a really good there's something right about you. It's hard to
Yeah.
say what, but I don't know. It would be pretty amazing. You know, for me to have, for me to know that I helped someone to do something like that. More about me. Here, go ahead, drink some coffee, have some water, clear your
Go ahead. Go
go
ahead.
ahead, take a drink, take
Take it
because
away. Take it away. Yes. Go
here's one
ahead.
thing that the audience doesn't know, but one thing that you remember is
Yes.
when you met me about 10 or 11 years ago, I was a very different person then, and I was at a very different stage of my life then.
Yeah.
And then
I think we all were.
well,
But
good.
yes. Yeah.
We all were,
We
and we
all
all,
were.
and that's the beauty of life, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
here's one thing that really bothers me and really frustrates me about all of this, and this is going to lead to something good, is that, shortly after I graduated from my university, I too faced tremendous challenge and obstacle in many different ways. Okay, many
Yes.
different ways. And many people turned their back on me when they needed to pay attention to me. And many people chose to shove me aside and to say, "Oh, we aren't going to help you. You
Mm.
don't matter. You're blind. You voted for the person I don't like, so I won't help you." You
Mm.
know, so
What a
that really
shame.
it right. But here's the thing. Since then, I've gone about my own way, as you know, on and off air,
Mm.
teaching, basically minding my own business and running
Right.
my get rich slow scheme, which is the slow scheme of life, right? That God or the universe sets forth for us, right? Life is not
Yes.
easy. Life is not
No,
easy. But
definitely
one of
not.
the things that I promised myself, one of the things that I promise you, one of the things that I promise the audience watching or listening to Aaron's opinion is two things. Number one, I'll never make a promise I can't keep. But the second promise that I can keep is that I am determined to make sure that the way I was treated in the past
Mm.
will never ever happen to someone else, especially
Amen.
someone as nice and as sweet and as lovely as Andrea Jenkins. We need to make sure that the opposite of me happens to you. What I mean
Yes.
is, and it's selfish, yes, but for my conscience, for the consciousness of humanity and the
Mm.
blindness community, I kind of need to help you get this dream done, because this is the type of thing that if I was on the other side of the camera, okay, and this
Mm.
was being done to me, I would want the host to know, and I would want the person to genuinely be able to help me try. I'm not saying that anything will come of it, and
Right.
probably as reality dictates in our lives from the universe, probably nothing will come of this. But you know what? I have to say that I tried to help, and that I put forth
Sure.
every effort and every all the soul in this microphone. We have to make sure that basically I want to give you an opportunity. I want to make sure that you have a chance. And it's really important to give people
Thank
opportunity.
you.
So kind of what I'm saying is I want you to audition for that show, and there's something kind of a little secretive that I'll share with you on text message after the show. But I want
Okay.
to make sure that if that show, whatever that is, if that show says, okay, you can really come in person to the audition next year,
Mhm.
I want to make sure that Aaron's opinion goes to that show with you in person.
Oh,
And
wow. Yeah, that'd be
I
great.
can't certainly I can't jump out of my skin and make a promise that I would do that, but I can
Right.
promise that I would try very hard to be a support system. The reality on that show, have you noticed that every time someone comes to that thing on TV, they always say, "Oh, who's your friend? Who's your friend that's with you?" Have you noticed? Okay, no, but do you know why? Do you know why they say that?
Why?
Do you know why?
No?
Because they aren't willing to put someone through to the next rounds unless they know they have support at home.
Ah, okay. Yeah. I
Every
mean, for
musician,
sure.
every
Yeah.
musician needs a support system.
Sure.
So you have
Yeah.
me,
I have
you have Mr.
friends, family,
Right, you have me, Mr. Gary.
Mr.
Still,
Gary.
I
Yes.
reached out to, by the way, I reached out to his page. I wonder if I even reached out to the right page on Facebook. I don't know if I did or not. But anyway, that's
Yeah, I'll help you with that later.
yeah.
Let's
But
look at that
anyway,
stream.
I mean, I would love to be able to talk to him and network with him too, to see what type of
Yes.
equation. I mean, this isn't just a you. It's not just a me. It's not just a Mr. Gary. It's not just a this. It's going to be the greater reality and stretch of the imagination is, if you want this opportunity, it's going to be a team. It's going to be a team effort. I mean,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it's not just
Yes.
one ingredient that's going
It,
to be in the recipe. It's going to be a lot
right.
of little ingredients that
Right. Right.
will
Yes.
eventually push you to that point. Um,
Yes.
But what do you? I mean, if I were to ask you, so I mean, what do you really want to do if you truly had the opportunity to get all the way into the music field? What would you really want? What would you really want to do with all of this? If given the fullest opportunity.
You mean like as far as auditioning and show and
Well,
all of that?
in other
Or are you
words,
talking about just like what do you want me to do with my music?
well,
What
both really, both of
both?
those things. You
Okay.
can take that either way, in either
Well, if I
direction.
got accepted, I mean, if I
Right.
got accepted, I'd certainly see it through. I'd
Well,
certainly see it through to see what happens because I feel like it'd be fun, it'd be enjoyable.
right,
I don't
but
know what
wouldn't
kind of
you?
reception,
Right,
but
but wouldn't
it
you
would
get?
be
But wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wouldn't you get scared if you got an email from them back saying, "Yeah, go ahead, come into the in-person audition"?
no,
There you
no,
go.
I wouldn't be scared.
There you go.
I
Okay.
would be
Well
scared.
then
Listen,
fine.
it's
You know what?
scary.
Then we're doing it.
I mean,
Then we're doing this because that's
okay. I
that.
mean, I'm
Okay.
not scared of that. No, that's one thing
That's what
I'm
I
not.
wanted to. I just wanted to make
That's
sure you weren't going to get
yes.
nervous because the
Yeah,
majority,
I
the
have a lot of
majority
fears,
of
but that's not one of.
really because you should be okay because
I'm not. I might be nervous and a bit anxious, like I am on video. Like
right.
I'm like was so fretful before I came on here. I'm like anxious because I don't even know why. Like maybe it's the fact that like I'm live on YouTube, but it's weird.
I don't know.
Because I'm
I'm
very
like
sensitive.
I'm really not that. I
But
mean, I'm glad that. I mean,
but
I'm
I'm not
honored
scared
to.
of going on the audition.
I
No,
mean,
definitely
I'm
not scared of that.
right. But
Not at
what I
all.
was saying is
Oh
so did you notice that when I asked you that question, you didn't have to think when I asked you
yeah.
the fact that you
Yes.
didn't have to think about that. Andrea, that shows me that there is a star. Okay, most stars when they're on TV say you would hear them say um for a second. You didn't even You didn't even So don't tell me that you aren't auditioning for that thing. No, we are. You are.
Okay.
You are.
Okay.
You are. That might be the only way for you to get the exposure because if you, quite frankly, if you had the financial, if you had the coins,
The means.
the
Yeah.
if you had all the as we say in French, if you had all
La
the
plata.
there you go or jambon,
La plata.
if you had all your jambon,
Yeah.
all your little coins, then we could make something happen. But you're gonna have
Yeah.
to go in the other door over here. You're gonna have to go
Yeah.
back door up around a staircase and still push down onto the stage.
Oh
But
yeah, it's fine. I like going. Yeah, it's fine.
but 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 let's see what we can
Yeah.
do. I'll get you some information about
Sure. That'd be
about
great.
that
All right.
process and see. I mean, I'm sure
Of course,
that
I gotta
yeah.
check with the man upstairs, but I think it's doable.
I checked with him
I
before.
have to check.
I texted him before the interview.
You texted him. You
I was,
said
you know what I was
process.
doing? I was eating I was eating a fajita with dinner with my parents. I was eating a fajita,
Yes.
and
Uh-huh.
I was texting the guy upstairs at the same time while I was eating the chicken and the
Oh,
jalapeno peppers all at
yeah.
the same time.
Oh,
So the guy
wonderful.
got back to me.
Okay, good. He said it's fine.
He says
We're
it's
good.
good. He says we're
It's
good.
cool.
He says we're good. And plus,
We're golden.
he's been getting a lot of other texts lately from a bunch of complainers that won't work and complain to him. So it says right hold
The
on.
boss.
I got it right here on the screen.
Boss. He's
It
good.
says
The boss says he's good.
from upstairs. It says from
From the
upstairs to
boss man.
it says from upstairs to downstairs to Andrea's living room thing. It says right here. It says yeah, go and audition. Go and audition and stop texting me.
Don't say it's a Lord. Oh my God, that's funny.
Oh my God,
That's
that's gonna get,
hilarious.
that's okay.
That's hilarious.
I think someone's typing on the, people are gonna get out the keyboards and typing some nasty comments with that. Um,
Oh my
but
gosh. Okay, don't
that's
look at
kind
the
of,
chat. Don't look at the chat. No.
well, it's too hard for me to look with voiceover. So
Don't look at
no,
the chat.
it's
Okay,
okay.
yeah.
It's okay. No, come here, haters,
You guys are
haters.
awesome. You're cool.
We love
Y'all are
all. You know
cool.
what? We
All
love
y'all
all
are
of you
great.
here at Aaron's Opinion.
All y'all.
All those lovely people out there. We love you and
You
all the
guys are
haters
great.
and
We
all the
don't judge
haters
you.
and all the
Don't.
haters. We won't judge you either because that's kind of
No,
part of
definitely
the
not.
that's part of the experience of life, right? Look,
Because yeah.
here's the thing. I see this as kind of the only other way. I mean, there's other things. I mean, when eventually, when I do get to speak to Mr. Gary, and get his
Yes.
side of the story,
Right.
not that there's two sides. There's not. But when I connect with him, maybe we can talk about some other ideas that I have. But the overwhelming one is that you clearly deserve more practice. You deserve more exposure. You deserve more. You deserve more, and I want to try to help you to get more.
Thank you.
What do you really think? Let's kind of shift the gears around. Andrea,
Okay.
this has nothing to do with music, but it has everything to do with
Okay.
it. I was
Okay.
I was having a religious conversation, a philosophical conversation, and in the community with another follower, another lover of Jesus, of another follower of Christ like you. And
Yes.
he asked me a brilliant question, and I'm going to ask you the question because
Okay.
he wanted to know, and I gave him a very good answer, but it's an opinion show, so of course it was a great answer. He asked me, he said, Aaron, he says, if the Hebrew calendar says that everything's going to come to a crashing halt in the year 6000 Hebrew calendar, then how do we know? How do we prepare for the Messiah? And how do we know when the Messiah is coming? And what do we look for in society? So, I mean, really, what's your whole like? One thing to think about intellectually is what is your whole like philosophy about living and your whole philosophy about how you, Andrea Jenkins, fit. How do you fit into the fabric of the universe anyway? What do you really think?
Okay, so how do I fit in the fabric of the universe? And then how is it all gonna how is it what is the perspective as far as living goes and what
Yeah,
manner?
yeah. What
Yeah.
do you
Okay.
really think about your life and the meaning behind it?
So I feel like my life is it's um it's a reflection. Um and it's supposed to be a reflection of light. Sometimes there's some dark shades that come into view, but I try to shine light into darkness and help people to see that there's hope and a future. Um, because I've been through a lot in my life, a lot of loss, a lot of heartache, and I'm sure many folks have been through heartache and loss too, and troubles and just daily life and just being, human. You're going to go through those experiences and the pains and troubles in life. Um, but I believe that life is to be lived, and you can't live if you're in darkness. You can't live if you're in the shadows because you will never be able to. You can't live if there's no light. If a plant doesn't have sunlight, it's not going to make it. There's no, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I feel like we need oxygen. And I feel like God is my oxygen and God is my light and Christ is my light. And um, I want to live each day to shine that light of hope and peace and love into the world, um, and help people to see that they can give all of their sins and all of their struggles and worries and fears and everything into those loving hands and be safe. And sometimes it's not always safe. I mean, sometimes what we go through in life isn't safe, but it's better to be in his hands than to not be in his hands, because not being in his hands, you don't have any hope. You don't have, it's hard to, you never see the top. You never see the top of the hole where the light comes in. You're always going to be stuck in a hold. And I feel like that's kind of that Christ encompasses, that he's the incarnation of all the truth that's been passed down and all the truth that's been shown to us over the millennia. He's kind of the culmination. He is the culmination of of all of the prophecies and all the prophecies that we read in the Old Testament and the Torah and all the other books of the minor and major prophets. And and I believe that Christ is the one who is the sacrifice for our sin. He's the one who sacrificed himself so we wouldn't be stuck in misery forever. I think we as a society, I think this is where God comes in my life, is that I always tried to believe I could take care of myself. And growing up, I had a mentality, and because I had to grow up really fast, I did have some struggles and family dynamics and home and stuff with addictions and things like that. But I had to learn growing up really fast, that life is really short. This time that we have on this earth is super short. Um, I mean, you might get 80 years, 90 years if you're lucky. Sometimes you don't even get 30. And, I've seen so much and I've experienced so much. And I feel like the only clear path that I can see is the path of Christ and salvation of that. And it's not an easy path. It's a painful path. And, I feel like it's, you know, I feel like society is full of a lot of people trying to figure out what's going on. And everybody's going here and there and everywhere trying to figure out what to do, what their life's about, this and that and the other. And it's really simple. It's really simple. And, loving your neighbors yourself. And, we love ourselves. It's not that we, I think, I don't know who said it. I don't know if it was C.S. Lewis who said it or somebody said it. It's not that we love ourselves too little. It's that we love ourselves too much, such that we can't see the forest for the tree. Meaning we can't see anything but our own purview, because we're so self-absorbed in our society today that we can't see past our own stuff. And when we get to that point, it's very sad, because life is meant to be lived, and you can't live on your own. Like, you can't live, like, really, you can exist, but you can't live on an island by yourself. It's not possible. And I mean, you will go through the motions, you will whatever. But at the end of the day, you're not living. And living is like an outflow of life to other people, and love, and sharing burdens and joys and sadness and happiness with each other. And so I kind of feel like, we've kind of lost a little bit of touch, as far as we've lost touch on a lot of our morals, a lot of reality, because everybody's coming up with their own rules, and as they go, making up rules to the game, instead of just like slowing down and stopping and just saying, like, hey, how can I love this person? And how can I respect them? How can I make them feel dignified? Like, and how can I make them feel like they have value, and also that they are valuable to God? And that they can come to Christ with all their problems and all their struggles. So I kind of feel like it's bringing together, um, you know, shining a light, loving other people, and helping people to know that they have a future and a hope that's far beyond um, what they might imagine, because it's always better than you can imagine. And I mean, when I say that, I don't mean like everybody who, I don't believe this word of faith crap that says if you come to God, you'll get everything you ever wanted and then some, and you're going to get a new Mercedes, and, you know, you're going to get a couple of jets. I mean, I'd like to have my own jet. That'd be awesome. And a pilot too. How about that? But, I have a feeling God's not going to do that. So, um, but, he's not going to make it easy, because if he was going to make it easy, then there would be no need for Christ. So there would be no need for a Messiah, period. But I think living today, living every day as if it's, the last one. That's kind of hit me a lot lately, because my grandma recently passed away a couple of months ago. And so that's kind of been one of my recurring feelings and thoughts, is just to live each day and be grateful for the people that are in your life, the people that love you, people that care for you. Because that's really important. But to just always be aware to show the love of God and the love of Christ to everyone. Because I feel like that's the most important thing in my life. That's kind of the recurrent theme of my life, is, loving people with the love of God. Trying to. Anyway, I'm not great at it, but I try. but yeah, and just I want to be able to show like, you know, life is like a song. Life's like, that song, there's an old country song. It's like life's a dance you learn as you go. Well, life's a song too. And there's a lot of different chords in that song. But it's God, when God makes a melody, he makes a melody. And everybody's got their own melody. Everybody's got their own voice. Everybody's got their own story, whether they want to believe it or not. Everyone's got their own. And but it's just an outpouring of, I think, the greater story of God coming to save us. And I think that I think for Christians as well as everyone of faith, like I think it's important to just conduct your life in a way that you can't earn it, but you can live in a way that's going to help you to grow closer to God. And that would be just stopping, because we're so busy nowadays in this world. We're so busy and we make ourselves busy. We make ourselves busy. Like it's important to just, sometimes it's important just to be quiet, to be still. And I'm learning the value of that. It's hard for me because I'm very talkative, as y'all can tell. So getting me to shut up is kind of, yeah. Pray, text the man upstairs about that one. Yeah.
Right.
But yes,
Right.
so
Well,
definitely. Um,
well, I mean, I think, and I mean, that is an absolutely perfect response to all of that. I mean,
yeah,
what you really
yeah,
said really hits home. Is that life really is that much of life really is that magical, and that's really what
yes,
you exhibit.
thank you.
Well, I mean, I think that really, I mean, I think that really helps us to bring it to a close. But of course, but before I do, I always traditionally end the episode in one particular way, and then I always ask you something else. Let me ask you if you can ask me only one more question to really make me sweat, to see if I'm really worth my
Oh,
salt as a podcaster. What do you really want to know about me?
um, give me a brief, like maybe 3 to 5 sentence blurb about how do you view, um, how do you view society and where it's going, and do you how do you lean as far as this your spiritual understanding of that, and where are you in that regard? I know that's a hot question, but
Sure. I view society. I look around the world every day, and all I see outside of my own family, and outside of my own work, and outside of my own podcasting, and outside of everything that I'm doing or trying to do for the blindness community, right? All I'm
yes,
seeing is that the world around us is not healthy. The world
no,
around us
definitely
is
not.
not good right now. There are
No,
some serious problems in
serious.
in all of the governments around the world are in a bad place.
Oh, definitely.
What do I see for the spirituality? Well, like I say, as I've mentioned, of course, as you know, I'm a Jewish guy, but not really.
Yeah, you missed Shabbat the other night. You missed
Yeah,
that.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
So
proud
a
of it. You're
Jewish
not that
Jewish
Jewish. Yeah.
Jewish guy, but no, no, not that really.
You're still, yeah.
Here's the thing that's more important than me being Jewish, or
Right.
even more important than you loving Christ, which is that both of us love God, and I really think that that's one of the main tenets and one of the main principles of living is that God doesn't really care what your religion is. God just cares that you love God, and that's a critically important thing in only
Mm,
my opinion. you know but
sure.
I mean, do I pray? Yeah, yes, sometimes when I need to.
Uh,
And then are there other
yeah.
times where tell myself, well, I don't have any sympathy for that person at all, and I'm not going to pray for you. Yes, I say that all the time too, because because you know what
Yes. Yes. I
sometimes
hear you.
sometimes people need sometimes people need to suffer. Sometimes people need to slip and fall and skin the knee,
Well,
and figure out
and
the way.
God will ensure it.
Yeah.
Just because you pray for someone. Listen, you could pray for someone, and God could allow them to suffer even if you prayed for them. So
Oh,
it doesn't
sure.
really, it's not contingent
Oh,
upon whether you pray for, whether
oh,
if you don't pray for them, they
without
will
doubt.
suffer. They will suffer.
Well,
Don't worry.
that's also true
Yeah.
too. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
my
I
philosophy.
get your point though. I get your, yeah,
Right,
I
right.
do.
Um,
Yes, I
and
respect
the
that.
sympathy
Yeah.
that I have, the sympathy that I have some people for some people around the community, in the blindness community, and there's not just one or two, there's several, there's many of them. The sympathy that I have for some people around the community is zero, but the
Yeah.
support,
Yeah. Yeah. I
but
concur.
and it's not just them, not just those others too, not just those people, but other people. I've been dealing with a lot of that. Unfortunately, the longer you podcast, you attract just as much. Well,
You trolls.
you attract just as much, I don't know, vinegar as you do honey, I guess. But Andrea, you are definitely the honey,
Oh,
and
thank you.
you're
Thank you.
the honey.
Oh,
I don't need the
yeah.
fly.
Because I don't
I
like
don't need
vinegar. Vinegar.
I don't need the flies,
Yeah, me either.
but you've got the
Ooh,
honey. You know what?
yeah.
You've got the honey. You know that's
Oh,
that's
is
your
it?
slogan. I've
Am
got
I
the
talking? I
honey.
got the honey. I
I
got the
got the
honey.
honey. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially if you say
All
it with
right.
your
Well,
especially if you say it with your wise, soulful, beautiful Southern accent. If you say it like that, that'll get okay. We're gonna have to make a note.
okay.
We're gonna
Now
have to make.
the puppy's coming down to find out what's going on down here.
Well,
Okay.
that's fine. So anyway, though, I think one thing that would help is you
Yes.
guys need to click the description. You're
Yes.
going to write a nice description with the Spotify link, but click that Spotify link, guys. Go
Yes.
ahead and give Andrea some love on Spotify. Thumb it up, rate it, and share the songs.
YouTube and
That
yes.
will really help. All right. Thanks for joining
Okay.
us. That was an incredible episode as
A
always.
pleasure. Thank you
Don't
for having
don't
me.
forget, like, comment, share, subscribe.
Subscribe.
How do we end a beautiful episode here? What is my slogan? What's my slogan?
Help one person today. Help a million tomorrow. Right?
You got it. You got it. Like it if man, oh man, that could not have been not more perfect. We're still on YouTube. Look, I'll catch up with you in a few minutes. Like it if you like it. Comment below, subscribe, share, help
Please. Thumbs
Andrea.
up.
Help
Thumbs up,
Andrea.
guys.
Help Andrea. She's got the honey. Have a good night. Have a good
Have a good
night.
night, guys.
Blessings to all.
Bless you
She's got
guys.
the
Hello.
honey.
All
And
right, bye, bye.
absolutely,
I got the honey.
don't forget, she's got the honey. Blessings to all.
Got the
And we'll be
honey.
back same
Okay.
time next week. Okay. She's got the honey.